Well, good afternoon, church family and friends that are watching us by Facebook, and just doing a little update as far as the new year and some things that we're trying to accomplish in the new year, and to give you just a few thoughts. And so the best way I know to do that is one of these Facebook videos, and so we're doing this to try to encourage you and share some things with you. And I do want to share a verse with you, and maybe in the new year we can continue some of these devotions that we were doing before. But the Bible says in Acts chapter number 2 and verse number 46, it says, "And they continuing daily with one accord in the temple." And then it goes on to talk about the gladness and breaking of bread and some other things they were doing. And you can look at the context of that scripture in the early New Testament church. But I want you to notice this little thought or this little phrase, continuing daily with one accord. And that's really my challenge to you. And I think, at least for the next little while, we're going to adopt that as our theme. And so what is the church trying to do in the new year? I wish 2021 it was magically all better and we had no problems and no hurdles and no obstacles to overcome. But the truth is we do. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to continue. And then the Bible goes on to say continue daily. And then it goes on with this wonderful thought, with one accord. And what I'm trying to do is to keep us as a church family moving forward together and to consider one another and to follow one another. And of course, there's lots of things there that we can talk about. There's our purpose and our prayers and our praise, and you can find them reaching new people. And like I said, Lord willing, the next week or so, we'll talk a little more about that even in the message in the morning about our purpose. And so I want you to just kind of be familiar with that thought and continuing, notice this, continuing daily with one accord. And so we'll talk about that and use that as a theme in this new year. And we're talking about some practical things as far as the pandemic and what we're dealing with. And I've shared several things with you publicly in some of the services and some of the announcements, but just to kind of make a little video so everybody's on the same page what we're doing. My goal is this, that we continue to plod forward. And we may not be moving as fast as we'd like to move, but we're going to try to, Lord willing, continue to plod forward. I used the illustration in one of the messages or one of the services that it's kind of like driving an old stick shift. We may not be in fifth gear, we may be in first gear, and we may have to ride around some with the foot on the clutch and coast a little bit from time to time, but we're going to try our very best to move forward. And my burden in that is this, that I know that God is doing a work in the hearts of people, and the church is needed now more than ever. And my conviction is this, that church should be the last thing to close in a community, not the first thing to close. And so we want to make some safety protocols but give the church and the work of the church, not just church attendance, but the work of the church priority in our life and in our community. So I brought a few little practical things with you, and somebody asked what we're doing. Some things, as I said to you before, I wish I never knew. This is kind of like a Lysol, but it's a flex wipe. It's one of the things on the CDC list that we wipe down all the doorknobs and any of the door handles and all those type of things between each service. And this contraption is a backpack mister, and it has a solution in it that is approved by the CDC. Also non-fragrance. It doesn't have that real chemically smell that a lot of things do. And you see I've knocked down here a mask, and a lot of our folks are wearing a mask. That's up to you. That's a personal decision you make, but we're encouraging and the men who are greeting and ushering and stuff to wear a mask, and you see that. And then another thing we have this Sunday, the first Sunday of New Year, we'll have the Lord's Supper. Now, I never thought in my life I'd see a disposable Lord's Supper cup, and this is what you actually have. And tomorrow night, the first Sunday of the year, we'll have it, and you actually peel this little clear layer back, and I'm showing you a little video, and we'll do that and be part of the service. And then you have the little wafer that you'll be a part of. And then when we get to the time to drink the juice and the fruit of the vine, there's actually another tab that you'll pull off and have your Welch's grape juice there. And those will be things that we're using. So what I'm saying to you is, there are things that we never thought we'd have to deal with, but we're dealing with it the best that we know how to kind of continue and try to continue to move forward. And so we may have to do it differently with disposable cups and wiping doorknobs and misting things and all those type of things, but we're going to try to do our very best to continue to move forward. Now, we have a lot of people in our community sick, and even some in our family and in our church, and some even in my own personal family. And so we're trying to do the best we can. But I want to challenge you to make the church a priority. And I said this when we very beginning, when there's two guiding principles that'll help you with the pandemic. Number one is we should be considerate. Philippians tells us that in honor we're to honor one another and give deference to one another and preferring one another, and we're to serve one another. That's the mind of Christ in Philippians chapter number 2. And so my circumstances may not be the same as someone else's, and my health needs may not be the same as someone else's. So we should always honor one another and let people do that. But the second challenge I give you, and that is this, that we should be consistent. And I said a moment ago that church should not be the first thing that's out of your life. It should be the last thing that's out of your life. By the way, it should never be out of your life, and I'm going to give you some practical things in that in just a moment. And so when we're abiding by those principles, so be consistent. I was talking to one of the leaders in our community a couple days ago, and I said to him, I said, well, I went out to eat, and I went to a ball game, and I'm doing these other things, so it would be hypocritical of me not to go to church. And now some other people who have not done anything in public, I understand that. And the concern that's there because the virus is real and that's a reality. But you say, someone said to me this morning or asked me the question this morning, said, what are we doing to make the church safe? And I'll remind you this, we're doing everything we can practically, but there is no guarantee of safety. The Bible tells us that safety is ultimately of the Lord. And so there's nothing that we can do. We're trusting in Him, and we're trying to move forward with precaution, not throwing caution to the wind, but with precaution and some practicality. And so I say this to you, if you don't feel comfortable, then stay away and join us online. That's between you and the Lord. As a Baptist preacher, I believe very strongly in the concept of individual soul liberty. You say, what is that, Brother Mark? It means very simply, at the end of life, you don't answer to me, you answer to the Lord. And so that is a decision that you and your family must make for yourself. Now, as a preacher, I'm to be an over-shepherd as a pastor. I'm to care for the flock. And I do give an account for how I help the flock mature spiritually, and that's a responsibility I have. So I say this to you, you have that decision. So if you don't feel comfortable, stay away. Obviously, if you have any symptom whatsoever, we'd encourage you to stay away for a while till you can let that run its course, and there's guidelines as far as that goes, and several people had to deal with that, and some even in quarantine now. But I say this to you, if you don't feel good about being here, then let me challenge you with this thought in closing. Don't just stay away, but stay active. If you were active in church before, stay active. You say, well, Brother Mark, I can't come to the services. Let me say it to you practically. If you used to come Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and you used to come to Sunday school, then be active in those things. Right now, we're live streaming Brother Junior's adult Sunday school class. Maybe you don't get to go to the one that you would, but you can at least attend Sunday school. And if there were people that you talked to, maybe you were in the choir and you used to talk to these people at choir practice, then talk to them. Send them cards. Check on one another. But don't just stay away. Stay active. And if you have to attend virtually for a while, then you stay active and stay connected. But the last thing that our families need, and the last thing America needs, is for Christians just to quit. And I'm challenging you, don't just stay away. If you're going to stay away, stay active. You ever invite somebody else to church? Well, then share the videos. Encourage other people to watch. Like, comment. How those things work on social media. You can always comment. You can share them to your page. And you say, what are you doing? I'm just letting other people know that I'm trying to stay active, trying to stay connected with our church. And we're going to try to work on that again as a church family, continuing to make connections. And so let's do everything we can to encourage one another and to be faithful to the Lord's house. And I'll show you this other thing over on my right side where I'm standing in front of the piano. There's an area there that's for social distancing, and the ribbons are there, and you see every other pew marked off, and there's another section in front of the sound booth. And so if you come in and see those black ribbons, that's what that's for. And so if you see the social distancing, and so if you want to sit in those areas, that's fine, and we completely understand that. And another thing I would encourage you with, and to wrap up this video, we've posted on this video link 2 messages. One of them I preached the week before Thanksgiving about rejoicing in the Lord, and the question was, is there anything to rejoice in this year? It's been difficult, but I want you to listen to that message. And then I followed that up the next Sunday night on our thoughts. And those thoughts run through our mind. I've dealt with COVID, and I as a pastor, and all these things, and the thoughts that run through our mind, and it's really a practical message that I gave on captivating our thoughts. And so I challenge you and encourage you to listen to those and let the Lord use that. And if there's something we can do for you, make sure you let us know, and we're praying for you and look forward to hearing from you soon, and by text or by Facebook Messenger, or things that we may not have normally done, by card. And I've gotten so many cards, and the church got so many cards, and we appreciate that. And so let's do what we can to continue daily with one accord. God bless you.